The farm has been cooking of late. It has been a lot of growth in the month of May. April showers have brought, thankfully, a couple of May flowers. And here to talk about it, here on Down the Farm, alongside our intrepid court reporter, Charlotte Varnes. Sam Jelinek with you. Charlotte, I feel like we should have the Law and Order entrance for you after attending the Alec Boehm case. It's amazing what getting into prospects and getting into the Phillies will turn you into. Right? Have you ever done court reporting before? Is this a first?
No, this was my first time. I was thinking about it because I intern or Northwestern like has a program where you can like cover Capitol Hill, and I'm like, that's the only other time I've been in like a hearing room, which is like obviously pretty different. But yeah, that was pretty unique sitting through 4 hours of lawyers going back and forth yesterday. I mean, the baseball takes you to great places.
One day you're sitting in a Philadelphia courtroom, the next you're going down to Reading to check out the aftermath of Gage Wood's debut. You'll be in Reading later today as we record this on May the 29th to kind of check in on everything that's going down there. And we'll start in the most obvious spot here, which is Gage Wood jumping from single A to double A. Um, I'm nearly certain the last time that we had talked was talking about where Wood was going next, because we were both surprised that at the beginning of May he was still with Clearwater, and then
Yeah.
ultimately ends up, okay, was he going to go to move to high A? Phillies say, nah, same thing. Let's put him to double A. Let's do it. And I think that was a really good move.
Yeah, I think it was the right thing to do. I mean, he was not really being challenged in Clearwater, and you can argue he probably would not have been challenged in high A. And if you look at what he did yesterday, he was not really challenged yesterday either. So I think they're going to keep trying to put all these obstacles in front of him and see what happens. And obviously, like it was just his first outing. I'm sure things are going to pop up in double A, and they're waiting for that to happen. But yeah, he looked incredible. I mean, the ride on the fastball, the fact he hit 99. I mean, he never hit 99 in his life, and he does in his double A debut. Who does that?
I'm actually surprised that he's never hit 99 before.
I felt the same way.
I feel like at one point he would have reared back and gotten it, but it's nice to see that you know, debut is not going to make or break somebody like him. But that for the home debut, he was really able to. It felt like soak it in and
Yeah.
maybe for the first time gain a little bit of cognizance of what it means to be a Phillies top prospect, because
Mhm.
it's a different beast than being, no offense to the White Sox, a White Sox top prospect when you make your double A debut down in Birmingham. I don't think people are going to be as jazzed as in Reading on an off day when the Phillies aren't playing and the entire spotlight of the Phillies organization is on you because Dave Dombrowski is in
Mhm.
attendance, all the media is in attendance, everybody is keyed in on it, and it seemed like he really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Also, yeah, going back and correcting myself. Obviously, home debut because my
hmm
good friend is a broadcaster for the Portland Sea Dogs. So I was texting her all about that last week. She got to call his first game. But yeah.
Emma Tiedemann, for those that don't know, is the Portland Sea Dogs broadcaster. Did Emma have any insider thoughts?
Okay, so I'm friends with Perry Katai, who is her
Okay.
partner. Yeah, I did not hear from her after, but I was texting her beforehand and shamelessly promoting my own work, and she was very excited to see him pitch. She was like, "Do you have anything on him?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to send you my own stories." But yeah, I think Emma did call like the vast
Mhm.
majority. I think they go back and forth, so I think Emma
Yeah.
called most of it. But
Okay.
yeah,
That I completely forgot. They are the only booth in the minors that is both women, which is really cool.
yeah,
And presumptuous of me to assume that it would have been Emma and not Perry, but uh, that's really cool that Wood gets his first two starts in. Everybody's really excited about it, and now I think comes not the hard part, but in a similar respect to we'll get to it, it's you move past the honeymoon phase now. And now the hard work begins where everybody's so excited and now it's okay, can you do this for 2 more months? And presumably if the next 2 months go well, the beginning of September Would probably finds himself at AAA. There are some people who I'm sure would love to hear that he'll be in the majors by that point. I'm not ruling it out by, you know, saying it's like a 1% possibility. But it's certainly not the plan at the current moment because what he threw 4 innings yesterday,
yeah, yeah.
so
I mean,
it's
he's
gonna be
not.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
slow and steady.
Yeah, I mean, he's had relatively short outings, and I feel like I've said it a million times. You look at he's pitched in a career high of 40 innings in a season. I mean, it would not make sense for him to be in the majors this year. And I'm again, a lot of people would love that, but I mean, just for him to get to AAA by
Mm.
September, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, so we'll see what kind of the rest of the campaign has for him in store, how much the Phillies take the leash off, because it's a I feel like we haven't been able to see the Phillies handle this type of arm in this type of situation where it's not a Tommy John comeback like it was with Andrew Painter, where you know you're going to be taking it pretty slow from that respect. That for Wood, it was he was injured, didn't get a lot of innings last year, then a first round pick, and then it's okay, how much do you want to spike the innings year over year? Because there's a lot of conflicting evidence on whether or not innings jumps year over year actually have a very big impact outside of injury. Where if it's, an uninjury related reason for why, your innings are spiking one year over the next, if that leads to more injury. So I'll be interested to watch that the rest of the year. And suddenly that Reading team is chock full of prospects. And Gage Wood headlines it now. And what I was mentioning with Wood, where the hot start was fantastic, and now for the next 2 months, people probably won't be focused in as much on what he's doing day to day. And that you might lose sight of what's happening. Kind of brings me to the next guy on Reading who the hot start was awesome, and now the tough part of the season has come, and that's Dante Nori. Because Dante had the phenomenal WBC, the slight shoulder injury to begin the year that didn't hold him out, but had him de-aging. He was swinging the bat okay, and now in the month of May has cratered. He's going through, I've heard some swing change-ish type of things, but this is the first real hurdle that he's faced now basically in a year since he was kind of really struggling at high A.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been brutal. He's hitting 202 in May, which is not, especially when you consider the kind of moments he had in the WBC, sort of feels unfathomable. But yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to watch a lot of him, but I'm obviously going to Reading today, so he is on my list to talk to. So I'm curious to see like what he's sort of going through because yeah, it has not been good.
Yeah, and that's when you looked at the Phillies outfield depth, none of us were really thinking it before the now no longer manager of the Phillies, Rob Thompson, mentioned Nori as a possibility as an outfielder for the Phillies at some point. I think that's probably squarely off the table
Yeah.
as far as this season. In addition to the fact, the way that Don Mattingly has handled this team does not seem to be conducive to handing prospects a long leash, which is just where the season is at this point for the Phils, which is he's managed it like every game's playoff game. So you're not going to really allow prospects to grow and flourish and go through and take their lumps because you don't really. The Phillies, in a weird, not in a weird way, they did this to themselves where you get off to a slow start, suddenly you can't take that tough 3-7 stretch in May because you already had that tough 3-7 stretch in April.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the way they're managing Painter. I mean, I think they've handled Painter very well, but they can't afford like for Painter to go out for, yeah, like if you think about last week, like having him pitch into
Hmm.
the seventh, they can't afford him to finish seventh. Because what if things suddenly start
Yeah,
spiraling in the middle of the seventh? And then that's a loss you don't want to have. I
it,
mean, I don't know.
I,
They did this to themselves.
I'm nearly positive Don had almost like the exact same quote from what you just said after the Boston start, where he went the
Yeah.
five scoreless innings, and he's like, I would have loved to have Painter go through the sixth, but we can't afford to see whether or not this is a growing moment. We need the win. We gotta bank the win while
Yeah.
we can. And if you're a team that's sitting at 30-20 on the season, maybe you can take that risk and be
Mhm.
okay. We'll let Painter into the sixth. If there's a couple guys on, we'll bring in a reliever and try to get out of it. No, you don't have that margin for error anymore. And that really, from our perspective, stinks in the way that we would love to see those opportunities happen to give those
Mhm.
guys those chances. Because that's when you really learn a lot, and that's when the system can really grow leaps and bounds. But yeah, you're at the standpoint now where it's results are the number one thing. And learning moments don't give you wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, you can argue, I mean, obviously, the writing was on the wall that something might happen to Rob's job, but you can look
mhm,
at that moment in Atlanta where he lets Painter pitch through traffic
mm,
and Michael Harris comes up and Backus isn't ready. You can look at that moment as being like the moment where we all sort of knew like a
yeah,
coaching change was going to happen or something was going to happen. Um, yeah, I feel like they tried to give him those growing moments earlier, and now, like we've said, they've just dug themselves a bit of a hole to where like they can't do that anymore. And I mean, if you look at, I'm really curious about Crawford as
yeah,
well. He's obviously in a bit of a slump right now, but like they're not. He's not hitting lefties. He's being platooned against lefties, and I just find that very interesting because he didn't really struggle against them in the minors. Like in talking to him, like he said he feels pretty comfortable against them, and obviously I don't know. When Rob wasn't playing him, it felt sort of like they're giving him an opportunity. Like the way like other people in the press corps talked about it was like Chase Utley didn't play every day when he came
mhm.
up. You want to give guys a chance to like gain confidence, but no, Justin Crawford's being firmly platooned, and like we've said, like you just lose those growing moments when you go through the struggles. Maybe he would be playing more against lefties if the Phillies weren't sitting around 500 right now, but that's not the case.
Yeah, and you bringing up Crawford gives us a really good chance to talk about the current outfield situation and how that's materialized as far as what we're seeing at the upper levels of the minors here, which is literally right before we started recording this. The Phillies do swap out Otto Kemp for Stuart Baroa, which honestly was not a move I had not dreamed of, but like it's strange. Not strange. It makes sense, but from the standpoint of I didn't think that they viewed that as a necessary move at the moment. But I think it tells you where things are at in Otto's development, where the Phillies currently are, and how they view their outfield situation. Which is like you said, Marsh. I guess now is not going to platoon. That's just going to
Marsh
be
is an everyday
straightforward,
player.
and that, like you said, Don now views Crawford as the platoon guy in center, so you move Marsh over to center. Baroa or Edmundo Sosa goes into left, and that's the way you run it now. Whether or not you agree or not, like you said, the time for the growing pains for Justin Crawford are I thought it would be more leash. I think we had both talked about that, given how much run Johan Rojas got to a certain
Oh yeah.
extent. Obviously, Crawford's defensive metrics tell a different story as far as why they gave Johan as much leeway with that, despite being a significantly worse bat. Um, but now we're at that point where the Phillies feel okay. Otto, he's gotten 25 at bats this season. We need to let him continue to develop every day, which means he's back down to the minors, and they're willing to let Baroa, for lack of a better way of putting it, wither away on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's sort of a defensive move too. I mean, you can argue that because the left field defensive situation has not been
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel weird writing it off purely as a defensive move because I don't think that's what it is. But I think like Matt in his story this morning noted that he's going to give them speed and defense, which were not really options they had off their bench. And I mean, aside from Adolis. Like you can look at this outfield right now and be like, this is pretty rough defensive wise. I
Yeah.
mean, Brandon has made some good play, but I don't know. I think it gives them a skill that they have not really had, which is helpful at least, even if he's withering away on the bench.
Yeah. And that's, since Felix Reyes got options, Felix has been on an absolute heater here with the Iron Pigs. In Buffalo this week, he's now 7 for 14, and that includes two homers, a go-ahead homer in the top of the ninth with 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. That was
Mhm.
unbelievably clutch. And he looks like the same guy that the Pigs sent up back in April. Which brings me to kind of my next thought on it, which is at what point, if any, this season do the Phillies feel comfortable enough in saying, okay, Felix Kemp or Felix Kemp, Felix Reyes or Otto? Can we just mash the two together
Yeah.
and create one super slugger right-handed bat off the bench?
Yeah.
Um,
They'd like
Felix,
that.
Felix Reyes or Otto Kemp. At what point do the Phillies feel comfortable enough to say again at some point later this season, you can be our right-handed bat off the bench? because it feels like at this juncture, it's the answer is indefinitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we said, like Dawn is not really using that spot, especially if you move
Hmm.
Sosa there. Like that other person is really, that other right-handed bat and left is like really not going to get used unless there's an injury or something. But yeah, I mean, I think especially for Kemp, he's a guy that they've talked a lot about getting every day at bats. I mean, a lot of this is just sort of puzzling to me in the way that they spoke about him during the offseason, being like he could be an everyday player, and all of a sudden he is come up to the minors or come up to the majors twice, and it's just not really panned out because they're not giving him opportunities. So I guess I feel like he's less likely to come back up in that sort of role. I feel like Felix, maybe they do not. I don't know. This is sort of just spitballing, but I feel like in terms of Felix, he feels less important maybe to the
Yeah.
overall thing than in the way that they've talked about Otto Kemp. And I feel like I could see Felix coming up and taking that role and maybe not playing a ton. And the Phillies being a little bit more okay with that. Whereas Otto, if I mean, I don't know. Their tenor toward him could have changed, but the way they talked about him, even when Nebraska talked about him when he got sent down in April, was like, we view him as important to like this whole thing
Hmm.
going forward. And I feel like if that's the way they feel, they cannot let him come up and sort of just languish on the bench.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think a lot of it has to do with Otto's positional versatility. They both him and Felix have their warts in left field. You probably trust Otto a little bit more out there. Otto can play third, a little bit of second, first base as well. Felix is basically stuck at first base, left field. You can throw him and have him stand out there, and you know it'll be fine. Um, so this is looking way down the road, but I've started to even think about Edmundo Sosa is going to be a free agent next year. Um,
Mhm.
he's out of RBers, and he's going to demand a pretty penny for a bench bat. There's going to be a team I would think that will hand him 2 years and $16 million, maybe more than
Yeah, I
that.
mean there are a lot of teams in baseball who view Sosa as potentially being an
Yeah,
everyday player. Like and the Phillies, like to some extent, are sort of using him as an everyday player. I mean, I don't know. I totally agree with you that
yeah.
maybe he walks and goes elsewhere and becomes an everyday player, and that's when Otto or someone else
Hmm.
becomes more important.
Yeah, and that's crossed my mind as far as where the Phillies will allocate their money is that the way this roster construction has worked is that for the most part, you plow as much of it as you can into the guys who are going to be your difference makers. And
Yeah,
that you'll fill around them as you can with trades and waiver claims and minor league development. And that paying a premium, Edmundo has been a luxury the past couple of years. And the reason it's worked is
yeah,
because you have him through his arbitration years and you can tolerate the amount given into that because you are going to play him probably 120, 130 times a year. But to spend that much as a free agent contract is a tough sell because we saw it this past offseason. They could have certainly done something like that to fill the right-handed bat off the bench or in right field as well, and they didn't go above and beyond. So I would doubt for Edmundo that it won't hold true for that. Especially like you said, Edmundo's viewed really positively around the rest of the league, and that I would still think that there's a team out there that thinks that they could stick him in every day and get even more out of him than what he's already shown.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so one more thing on the outfield, and I find it funny because I mentioned it briefly in passing during our last recording because he was about to be activated. Gabe Rincon is back with the Iron Pigs, fully activated, fully healthy, and with the trend of where Adolis Garcia is headed, and with Gabe off to a very hot start with the Iron Pigs, there are some people who are like, "Could Gabe come up?" Um, my answer that's probably no. But
yeah,
uh, from a fit standpoint, left-handed bat, I think Adolis has a lot of leeway given how good he is defensively in right field. Um, you know, things could change, somebody could get hurt, anything like that. But the first couple games that I have seen of Gabe this year coming off of his rehab for his knee issues, it's not that he looks like a wholly fundamentally different player. His approach at the plate is different. He's going the other way. It is only like five at bats, and it's not, going the other way, just topping balls the other way. He's hitting line drives the other way. His first at bat against a lefty, he got a hit. he had like 5 hits off of lefties all of last year, including I think he went like 0 for his last 40 against lefties. I don't know. Maybe this additional time in the IL has changed something. But now as a guy on the 40-man roster, the Phillies will be interested to see what kind of profile he can provide. My best case dream scenario for Gabe has always basically been he morphs into Kyle Schwarber, which, Kyle's not going anywhere for a good bit of time
Mhm.
after signing the contract this past offseason. But for me, that was my ultimate comp for Gabe is basically Schwarber with even more athleticism.
Yeah. I mean that I feel like that's a big dream.
Yeah,
We'll
very
see
big dream.
but yeah,
Uh,
like
oh,
definitely
so
more athleticism.
okay. I'll amend that with the big caveat of not the current. This will sound weird. Not the
Yeah.
current version of Schwarber. The 2021 and 2022 versions of Schwarber.
Okay.
I think that that's more akin. The 200 average ish with like a 330, 340 on base.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not the current Schwarber who is just a top 10
Mashing.
hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
So okay,
Okay,
I,
no, 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 that makes sense.
it feels weird because he's been doing it for so long that Schwarber has basically had like 3 different careers in one, and there was a
Insane.
stretch of time where he was like a just like a good hitter, and now
Yeah.
he's an otherworldly hitter.
Mhm.
So I should have clarified for that because that is a very big comp.
Yeah, no, Kyle Schwarber's lived many different lives in his time in the major leagues, so that makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, no, like my initial reaction to like I feel like it was the past couple of weeks I started thinking about could Gabe come up at some point, and initial like gut reaction was no, like that does not make sense. But if he's actually hitting lefties and
Hmm.
looks like this changed guy and it's sustainable, maybe. I mean, also you're looking at Adolis, like I don't know. There are some positive trends, and I don't need to be like the underlying metrics, but like he's chasing a lot less. And I mean,
Hmm.
that was a goal the Phillies had, and ultimately it has not worked out to him actually hitting. He's still swinging a lot and striking out, and yeah, I don't know. His defense has been so incredible. Like, and I also like, yeah, I guess side note, it just makes you appreciate more like how hard it is, and also like what we were watching with Nick Castellanos last year. Like, I feel like I have a much greater appreciation for right field defense now. And I think like that gives Adolis like a lot of leeway because he has been so great in the field. I don't know. Maybe it reaches a breaking point at some point. It's May 29th, maybe sometime before the trade deadline. The Phillies
Hmm.
decide to give it a try because, I mean, no doubt they're going to be doing something different with their outfield at the trade deadline again. It just feels like we're heading in that direction, but you could argue it would probably be with a right-handed bat, given everything going on with the righties, not with a lefty like Gabe. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, to see it in the next couple months. I feel like not anytime soon, but even if you'd asked me that 2 weeks ago, again, I would have been like, no, like he's not coming up. But now I'm a little bit more sold on that potentially being a possibility.
I saw somebody posit this idea on Twitter, and it came after Matt's article detailing the it's not just the Phillies who are having trouble with right-handed outfield bats, just that across the sport, right-handed outfield bats
Yeah.
are just not producing offensively. And somebody brought up the idea, why not just lean into lefties? Just say, okay, if the price for even a mediocre right-handed bat's too much, go get me a better left-handed bat and just say, screw it, we'll deal with the platoons and are against the left on left matchups and hope that it doesn't come back to bite us. Because obviously trying it the other way hasn't been working either.
Mm,
And that's
that's true.
that's kind of what I envision for Gabe is kind of a shrug of, you know what? Push all the chips in.
Yeah,
Let's
whatever.
try it with that. I think the likelier scenario, and I think this happened last year, was the any trade interest on Gabe moving him at the deadline was pretty well diminished by the fact that most teams viewed him as a platoon guy. Even as a strong side platoon, that's a really, really hard piece to trade. Because teams will inherently devalue that and try to get pennies on the dollar for that, because they know that, hey, you're only going to be able to play this guy 2/3 of the time. Um, if you can show even a semblance of okayness against lefties, that changes the conversation, or even just convince another team around the league that he can play every day against lefties, that changes the calculus,
Yeah.
which would be really interesting. Uh, So that's where Gabe is at. The outfielder that the Iron Pigs did move up to the majors with Otto Kemp coming back down. Stuart Baroa, just to touch on him really quick. Waiver claim from the Brewers this past at the beginning of the season. Switch hitter, plays okay defense in center. Nothing that's like amazing. Speed off the bench. I find it very funny. He runs with the double oven mitts. And he's always late putting them on. I've seen him steal multiple bases with the flaps, the straps just flying in the breeze behind him. Um,
Oh my God.
yeah, he's like a when Anthony Contreras was here, when we got Stewart, I asked AC, like, how would you describe Stewart to me? He's like the type of player you absolutely hate playing against because he's going to piss you off to no end, but you love having him on your team. Because
Yeah.
he's got antics, he's got energy, he'll drop down bunts, he'll run the bases hard, he's got a little bit of exuberance to him. And you know, some people might not take kindly to that. I'm sure as the last man on the roster of the majors, that'll get toned down a little bit. Um, but I would not expect him to go up and do anything more than just exist, be a pinch runner if necessary, spot up in left field when they really need to. Um, how they end up maneuvering the outfield now when if Crawford is in a hard platoon, if that's Martian center or if Baroa moves to center, I guess probably depends on how they view Sosa
Yeah.
in left field with that experiment. Because I was okay personally with the Sosa experiment until it was I think it was the Red series. There was the ball down the third base line in the
Yeah, I know
corner.
exactly what you're talking about. I just
Yeah,
like it's hard to remember. It all blurs together, but I just remember there was a play like in the past week at home where I was like, "Oh no, they cannot be running that out there."
yeah,
Oh, there was one of the Guardian series too, because I'm remembering this because I remember thinking like,
yeah,
I wonder, yeah, because I was like, huh,
yeah.
wonder why Otto didn't play.
Because it was one of those plays that everybody focuses in so much on outfielders as far as are you catching everything that's hit you by?
Hmm.
When another huge part of it that goes overlooked sometimes is your ability to know where to throw the baseball and how to cut off the baseball. And it was a ball in the left field corner at CBP, which that corner ends up being really tricky. Because
Yeah,
with the side barrier coming in, a lot of times you don't know if it's going to kick out in a shallow left. And Edmundo had some trouble getting into the corner, had trouble digging it out, and then he missed. It was a double cut. He threw it over the first cut's head, and that allowed the runner to score from third base because the
yeah.
throw had too much hang time on it. And that's just a really small thing from somebody who hasn't played a whole lot of outfield before on knowing what cut do I have to hit, where does the baseball go, and how do I make sure nobody takes an extra base. And that adds up over a period of time when the Phillies are going to be trying to do this
Hmm.
ostensibly for a good part of the season now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm curious how much leash they give him, and I'm curious, like, I don't know. Obviously, like, very, very different playing infield than outfield, but he's such an elite defender in the
Yeah.
infield. It makes me wonder, like, and it's just funny too. I remember talking to Paco like right about when they decided Sosa was going to play left field again, and like part of the reason they like that he agreed to do this was because Paco was like, you know, they give Gold Glove awards to utility players now, and Sosa was like, oh, I'm all about that. It's just like so fun. Right now, he's not winning a Gold Glove for utility player, but
uh, a,
he's doing his best.
a very funny thing on the utility player subject. Dylan Moore, now with the IronPigs, is now our utility guy playing all over the place. One thing I meant to ask him, but I ended up just seeing it anyways, and it answered the question for me, is Dylan Moore won the 2023 Gold Glove as the utility guy. Now, for those that don't know, when you win a Gold Glove, one of the perks of it is if you are somebody who uses Rawlings gloves, they give you the gold on the Rawlings label on your glove, which it's just like it is a status indicator. It looks sick. And it dawned on me, I'm like, Dylan Moore probably has like 5 gloves. Because he's the utility guy, do they let him put that
Yeah,
on every one of them? They do. I'm like,
that's
oh,
sick.
that's such a hack. That's
You need
such a
to get a
hack.
photo of this.
Yeah. So he's blinged up. I'm like, oh, that's
Wow.
sick. So yeah, he's got 5 gloves, all with the gold Rawlings on it. Sorry, small aside with that I thought was really cool because to be able to get that is such a unique, awesome thing. Like when Yadi Molina had all of his gold gloves, all of his gear was blinged out, and I always love
So
that.
cool.
So
Yeah.
it's the little things that matter to these guys.
Sosa's dream.
Yeah. So really quick on actually Dylan Moore down here with the Iron Pigs. The two Dylans that are now with the Pigs that some people are probably interested in, Dylan Moore and Dylan Carlson. Dylan Moore has been fine. Um, the bat is it's a struggle. He's turned it around a little bit in Buffalo. Um, he's taking a lot of called strike threes, which is I don't know. And he always looks just doesn't look like he's seeing the ball that well. Um, of late, it's getting better. Defensively, it's been great. He's actually playing some shortstop for us, which is we are short on shortstops, so that's been good. Um, and then Dylan Carlson, he's shown me a lot of athleticism. He's got some pop, a lot of swing and miss. And the Cubs already cut bait on him. I don't think he's pressing the Phillies currently for any sort of role in the majors at this juncture. Um, but a guy with pedigree that you hope captures it at some point. So
Yeah.
that's been interesting to watch as well. And then just one more guy on the 40, Christian Cairo, has been playing fine. Not a whole lot of pop, makes a lot of contact, does all the right things. Made maybe the sickest baseball play of my life that I've ever seen before, actually. To give an idea of how good he is defensively, this was sick. We were in the either ninth or 10th inning, tie game, runner at second trying to steal third base. Cairo's covering third. Throw from the catcher is towards left on in fair territory. So Cairo darts across the bag to grab it. Runner slides in head first. Cairo fakes like the ball got into left. Runner came off the base, tagged him out. First time I've ever seen it
Wow.
work. It was unbelievable. And after the game, Cairo was like, "Yeah, I've done that before, but it never works." I couldn't believe he was that dumb.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it was a really heady play. Cairo's got like all the baseball intangibles and the
Yeah.
classic son of a former player type of deal.
Mhm.
That works really well. So if he ever needs to go up, he will be fine in that role.
Mhm.
So that's everything kind of like from the Pigs' perspective. While we're on the shortstop discussion, Bryan Rincon did go on the IL hamstring strain,
I think so.
if I'm
I don't know. I'm
remembering.
going to talk to him today, so
Yeah,
we'll confirm.
with Reading, he'd continued to play well. I think he was starting to stir the pot in the conversation of do we give him another challenge here? Where you and I, this goes back now all the way to spring training. I've just been constantly saying, okay, can he keep it up? And I think the Phillies are interested in answering that same question, which,
Mhm.
given where things were a year ago, seems nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, he's actually hitting now. I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy in itself. Like, he looked really good until he hit the IL, and like you said, I'll be curious to see when he comes back if he makes that jump to AAA.
yeah, he's in the month of May, an OPS over 1,000. 17 strikeouts in 18 games isn't, ideal, but 9 walks, so patient enough.
Mhm.
4 doubles, 1 triple, 5 homers. Actually leads Reddit with 5 homers in the month.
Crazy.
He's just kind of been doing everything right. Arun Escobar has just continued to plod away a little bit. It's been I hate saying like underwhelming, but it's been very just he is a young guy getting his first true taste of Double A, and I think more than likely ends up spending the full year there.
Yeah.
Um, the conversation could have been different if he'd really started out on a tear, but I think right now he's just getting the experience that he needs. And then still at Double A, wildly, Alex McFarland out of the bullpen
Mhm.
for Reading hasn't allowed a run in like 13 innings, continuing to pump 98, 99. Um, the question is currently why isn't he at Triple A? My best answer is the Pigs bullpen has been contending with two rehabbers, uh, Max Lazar and Zach Pop, both in the bullpen, and making sure that they get their constant work, plus the 40-man guys also getting their consistent work, leaves basically no innings anymore. So I think that's probably the reason why, even though we've lost a lot of bullpen talent up to the majors, still somehow have a lot of innings left. That is the one spot the Phillies have done a great job this year, bullpen depth.
Yeah.
Which Yeah, that's great until you have so much bullpen depth you don't know what to do with it.
Exactly. Yeah, because I feel like I've talked so much about bullpen depth, and like it didn't matter like when there was that string of injuries at the beginning of the season. Now it's sort of like, okay, well, all of these guys are competing for innings with each other, and again, don't know what to do with it. So
Yeah, and I don't know. Lou Trevino came back on a minor league deal. Went to the Orioles for like 2 games, got released, came back. That's basically Lou's new MO. Is he was born and raised here in the area, and is basically able to come back on a minor league deal, see if somebody else will sign him, if the Phillies bring him up, and then just merry-go-round again, fly back to Allentown.
yeah.
All roads lead to the Lehigh Valley.
I remember seeing that when he went to the Orioles, they like didn't let him in the stadium because
Yes.
he wasn't on the list. Yeah.
What's crazier is that he was a Yankee.
Yeah. So,
Granted, he didn't have the beard, but come on,
yeah.
put some respect on Lou Trevino's name.
No, truly.
Um, Down at High A Jersey Shore, Keaton Anthony has had his rehab transferred there. He's
Mhm.
played 2 of the 3 games this week. I would guess if he follows the same path as Gabe Rincon is, he's probably with the Iron Pigs by the start of next week, which could give the Pigs a pretty wild lineup at the top.
Yeah.
A ton of fun, and the ghost of Aiden Miller along with it. Um, you know,
Wherever
no,
he is,
no,
whatever he's doing.
we don't have an Aiden Miller update. Stop asking us.
No, no. All I know is everyone asks Don every maybe 3 to 4 days, and all I know is he's continuing to pick it up. No baseball activities, though.
Sure. Oh man. Jersey Shore has hit a really rough stretch here in the month. They're 9-15. Coming off of a month in April where their pitching was really good. May has not been as kind. Of note, though, Wen-Hoo Pan, who had undergone Tommy John, is back throwing the bullpen for Jersey Shore. He's got dynamite stuff, and is
Yeah.
seen as somebody who could be a quick-ish riser, and is, you know, uh, a very good segue here because otherwise I would have forgotten about Pan is Taiwanese. Hopefully, I'm getting that right. Otherwise, I'll feel awful. Um, Phillies forays into Asia are ramping up. You had a really good story and insight on the Phillies finally, after acquiring through multiple trades enough international signing pool money to go out and sign a huge target from South Korea.
Yeah. Chanman Park, who is partly named after Chan Ho Park. And I literally could not believe it when I heard that. I was like, this is great stuff. Um, yeah, I briefly met him and he is ginormous, like already without even having played professional baseball. He is like a big guy. I think he is 6'3". He felt taller, but he's 6'3", I think. Could have been like a top, definitely a first round pick in
Mhm.
the KBO draft. And Phillies, I know, were super excited about it. And they have obviously been trying for a while to make some headway in the Pacific Rim and has not always gone their way. But I mean, you see in the past couple weeks, they sent a whole contingent to Japan a couple weeks ago. They got this done, like you said, made several trades to get it done. And I think everyone's pretty excited about it. Like people think he is legit. This is not, I mean, obviously it's different what happened with Koyo, obviously, with him having been a professional player, very different. But this is not like a 2.0 of that situation, I would say. But yeah, probably will be a little bit until he gets some professional action because they're sorting through things, just trying to figure out their school schedule in South Korea ends in February, I believe. So they're just like trying to figure out what it's going to look like with the school schedule. They don't know if he'll be in Clearwater or the DR to start. There's sort of a lot they have to work through, but I know the Phillies feel pretty excited. And I mean, there's a lot to be excited about with this signing class, too. I mean, between him and
Mhm.
Renteria, who we talked about last podcast, who is, I don't know, obviously, it's hard to tell what these kids are going to be within the next few years, but people are very excited about him. And he's now, I think, 3 on MLB
Mhm.
pipeline.
Yeah,
I don't know what he is on Baseball America, but yeah, I think there's just a lot. There's international scouting department has done a great job this winter. There's a lot to be excited about.
and what I really love about the signing, getting into the Korean market and more so the amateur side market, is that obviously the Phillies have been trying to make a lot of forays into signing guys who are professional, either out of the KBO or out of Nippon, and obviously have not been able to hit pay dirt on that yet. This essentially circumvents it. This is getting interest because technically every amateur over there has the opportunity to do this. It ends up being a bit more taboo to do it. You're in Korea, in Japan, you're mostly expected to essentially pay your dues by playing in your home country, and then you can go over. I know Otani was very interested back in the day of going straight out of high school, and I think the Dodgers were the ones who were almost able to get him to come over, but they wouldn't let him be the two-way guy. By indicating your interests, both, having a presence over there and then monetarily backing it up, I think will make some really big headway for the Phillies here. And
Yeah.
allowing themselves to go through this route is just another, I think, good indication to the rest of the market over there that, hey, we are serious players. We are going to get the talent whatever way that we can. And how they develop this moving forward will be super interesting. Like you said, I'm trying to imagine a bigger culture shock than going from Korea to the Dominican Republic and going to one of the
Or
academies there,
Clearwater, Florida. Like I
or
just
Clearwater. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
that's pretty nuts.
yeah.
And it will be an
Yeah.
interesting challenge for the Phillies to try to do it with that. Because
Mhm.
in this, the Phillies are searching for talent everywhere. Obviously, they have been very active in Australia over the years. Italy has constantly been a place that they have loved to
Yes.
pluck talent from the Italian Alps.
I think Sal Agostinelli has some family
Yes.
connections there. Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, and I think like in talking to Derek Chung, the director of international scouting, I was just, I think, pretty impressed by how much Chanmin knew about Philly. I
Mm,
mean, I think that's just been a big thing with, I don't know, people have made a lot about the Phillies not being able to sign Japanese talent, Roki not wanting to even
mhm.
interview with them, Shohei being like, I want to see the Rocky statue, but I don't want to play here. Like, I think which is still
Forgot about that.
incredibly funny. I just think I don't know, Philly struggles, I guess, a bit from not being Chicago, not being New York, not being Los Angeles, and to hear like, yeah, this kid might not know everything about the city, but he was very familiar with the
Mhm.
Phillies. And I think that really speaks to what the Phillies have done, I guess, the past few years with reaching the World Series and winning the pennant and what they've been able to accomplish. I mean, I think it was really sweet. Like this, Chairman Park like loves Christopher Sanchez, and he got to see him throw a shutout, which I was like, that's so funny. He was like so excited to talk to Christopher Sanchez, and like, it really speaks to like I don't know what having superstars and constant success can do for your team because I feel like that just has lended the Phillies some credibility over there. Whereas like in the past, I don't know, the Pacific Rim, those players are might be less familiar with Philly and more apt to sign with a team or a market they know more. But the Phillies have really made their mark in the past few years, and I think players internationally are starting to take notice.
Yeah, and that's been really fun. And whenever he develops and makes his way through the system, it'll be kind of another, hopefully another boost at that point down the road. But like you said, the Phillies had eyes, I forget his name, third baseman, left-handed hitting third baseman. They were looking at Preston Mattingly in the
Oh
contingent
yeah,
going last week. Was it Hanshin?
I know. Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know his name, but
Yeah,
yeah, they sent like several. I think Derek, Jorge Velandia, and Preston were all there to see
yeah.
him.
This is another bit of it only because I've met Georgie. I love whenever Valendia's in the pictures. He's just so happy.
He's got the biggest smile on his face in every
Biggest
single
smile,
photo. It's
always.
so funny.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, Only because you brought him up and really quick, and I think it's important for the context of development and what we talk about here on the podcast with prospects. Uh, the Park got to see Christopher Sanchez throw a shutout. And we were lucky enough last homestand. Phillies had an off day at home, and Anthony Contreras, our former manager, was able to come back for a day. I caught up with him, just talked with him. And one of the things that dawned on me with AC being back, and also when Sanchez threw the shutout, AC watching that, AC was Sanchez's manager in 2023 as well as 2022. And in 2023 was when everything changed. And it just had me thinking about, man, AC has seen Sanchez go from a dude who was really close to being DFA'd to currently the best active left-handed pitcher in baseball. And I've told this story on Twitter before. I don't think I've told it on this pod before though. There was a time in 2023 where the Phillies needed a spot starter. It was either going to be Christopher Sanchez or Bailey Falter. And Falter was starting for us at the beginning of the week. The spot start was going to be later that week on Saturday. So Falter starts Tuesday. If he throws well, he's probably going to go up. He gets blasted. I mean, Toledo just kicks him around. So then Sanchez becomes the incumbent by default. He goes up and then never comes back down. And it's just like, dang, if Bailey Falter had just gone out and thrown like 4 shutout innings, Christopher Sanchez might never have happened. Let alone the fact that at the start of that year, Sanchez was hurt, rehabbed with us, went up for one start, came back. And when he came back, he was terrible. He was terrible to start. His first start with us in Jacksonville, he walked 7 guys. I watched this man walk 7 guys against Jacksonville and then walked 5 at home against Memphis. Like he was not good.
Mhm.
And to see him what he's doing now, and that AC has seen that journey, to me is the entire Phillies organization has seen this journey. I
Yeah,
don't think should be lost on us. The that is player development. That is what we
that
talk about
is.
when we're thinking about what these guys can be, and that the path isn't linear. I know for Sanchez, it seems like for a lot of people, they only know him from the 2023 version. Then arrow straight up into this ace. When the rest of us, the real sickos, saw Sanchez go up and down a million times over, could never be consistent, and now is who he is. And every time he pitches well, it just boggles my mind.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm new here and I've sort of only known this version of Christopher Sanchez, but even you can argue he was not last year, he was still ascending toward acehood and
Mhm.
he's hit a new level, obviously, over this past month. I think it has just been insane to watch, even though I wasn't here in 22 and 23 when that all was happening. It just feels incredible that like this player with this combination of pitches, who, yes, everyone talks about Curtis Mead all the time, who's literally traded for Curtis Mead, who's about to be like, they did not have a 40-man spot for him in Tampa. It just feels insane. And it just, I don't know. I have a great appreciation for it because it just feels like this is not necessarily how things were supposed to go for Christopher Sanchez. And this is how things have turned out. Like you said, that's player development. Like
Yeah.
he had time and space and he grew as a player. And now he's, yeah, the best active left handed pitcher in the sport. It's just, it's been insane to watch.
Yeah. It's just something to keep in mind that just consistently every time I think I know baseball, I think about that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know jack shit. um, which brings us to the last bit of our journey here, touching on Clearwater really quick. Um, Illyrio Farabis is still really good. He's OPSing nearly 1,000 in May, and suddenly the Phillies have another uh, prospect, low level in the minors, prospect at catching. Which, given the catching depth in the upper levels of the minors, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Um, But that's an interesting watch because we've talked about it before. Catching prospects when it comes to the deadline, man, they get other teams get interested.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. Griffin Burkholder continuing to play well. Another
Mhm.
case of nonlinear development, OPSing over 1,000 here in this month.
Mhm.
So that's another one to keep an eye on if he can keep that going. And
Mhm.
then an arm to keep an eye on that is making some waves. Ramon Marquez.
Yeah. I've seen a lot about him.
Very good fastball, very good feel for the changeup. He's 20 years old down at Clearwater, which is just about the right age, and he's starting to throw a little bit more. 14 innings this month, 25 strikeouts, only 4 walks. That's a that's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Um, Again, the Phillies with pitching development, it gets spot and touchy. It's not as easy as with a hitter when you say you're going to move them up. Because last year Marquez threw a grand total of 55 innings, including 17 at Clearwater. So trying to determine, okay, when you've mastered the level, when you're in Marquez's case compared to Gage Wood, who is a college pitcher, it's different because we've now seen it on the flip end. Shane Cabrera, you could say, was good at Double A last year, didn't master it, goes up to Triple A, gets hit around, sent back to Double A. So you never you'd prefer them to go on that path where they don't have to jump between levels too much. Um, but Marquez is making some really interesting headway to begin this season, and is one of those guys that a lot of people get not too critical, but interested in why the Phillies don't go out and just spend all their international signing money on one guy or two guys. The Phillies spread the money out a good bit, and a lot of those guys are like Marquez, who signed for just $10,000. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just buy a lot of lottery tickets, you scratch them off, and you see what hits.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense given you do not know what these guys are going to become. You don't know if they're going to flame out, etc. So you might as well just try to spread the money around and see what happens. And yeah, it's working out here.
Yeah. So,
And I feel like another arm in Clearwater, Kate Obermueller,
yes,
finally made a
healthy
season
finally.
debut. Yeah, I had heard it was because of illness. They were taking things slow with him coming back because of a sickness. And yeah, he only pitched an inning, but he struck out three guys to give up a run. So if you look at his page, it says his ERA is 9, which is not great. But it's one inning, three strikeouts, can't complain about that. So he's definitely a name to keep an eye on.
I shouldn't say I love it when this happens, but I always find it funny when a player contracts an illness or sickness or whatever, and the team refuses to disclose what it is. And it's like, well, now you're letting my imagination run wild.
Yeah.
Does he have like yellow fever? Does he come down with the Spanish flu, the Black Plague, whatever? When Schwarber was sick, and turns out,
Yeah.
he just kind of had a case of the runs. Like,
And the way he specifically said it was not the runs, I'm like, we do not need to be doing a whole scrum about Kyle Schwarber's stomach sickness.
yeah,
But yeah, like I think I tweeted, I think Trey was under the weather in Boston. Someone was making fun. I know that's just like such a cliche term, and like someone was making fun of me for using it, and
yeah,
I like that's how they. I don't know. They're so weird about caging things sometimes, and it's like sometimes I will just write what the manager said, and if Don said he's under the weather, he's under the weather.
yeah. They're Don's not a doctor, or at least
No,
not yet.
not yet. Never too late.
You never know. So that covers everything over the past couple of weeks, which has been a lot of growth on the farm here in the
Yeah.
month of May, which is really, really good to see. In June, should probably bring a bit more with Gabe Rincon is getting a full month back at AAA, Keaton Anthony getting healthy. Suddenly, Otto Kemp and Felix Reyes back with the IronPigs. A full month of Gage Wood at Double-A with a stacked Double-A roster. Whether or not Dante Nori can turn it around, there's a lot going on here, and man, it's getting to that time of year where you start looking at all of it, and you know, keeping an eye towards what's coming in July, which I don't know. I'm assuming, given your responsibilities, will you have a closer eye on the draft?
Um, I will not. I don't know what it's going to look like this year
Hmm.
because I'm on our road trip like right before All-Star and I handled draft stuff last year, but it is going to be an insane week with the All-Star game and
Yeah.
everything here. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I do wish I could make the futures game, but I think I'm flying back from Detroit. I'm actually missing the last game before the All-Star break, so I was like I'm gonna go insane if I work this many days in a row. So I think I'll miss the futures game, but I wish I could go. I don't know. It's going to be an insane week here. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and see what the Phillies do with the draft this year, because first round picks 10 spots back, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of
Oh
stinks.
my God. I can't even believe that's like so soon. I
Yeah,
cannot even believe it.
that,
God,
that,
it's crazy.
that's why I'm bringing it up. It's
A month and a half away.
yeah, we'll pod middle of June, then the end of June, and then right around the All-Star break, which we should probably wait till after the draft happens, or maybe right before for a preview. And then the draft will happen.
Yeah.
And the Phillies, whatever moves they make, will be interesting. They haven't shown a inkling, unlike other teams, to draft guys and then trade them. Um,
Yeah.
but I do wonder if that's an itch that Dave Dombrowski's looking to scratch.
We'll see. You never know.
You never know. Okay, well, until the middle of June, then, our fellow pharmacists, we say goodbye. Thank you for listening, and go out and see a Gage Wood start. Go support the
Yeah,
Reading
might as
Titans.
well.
Come
Get
see
out
the
to
middle of the
Reading.
order of the Lehigh Valley fighting Phillies of Otto Kemp, Felix Reyes, and Gabe Rincones, and Keaton Anthony, and
Yeah.
no promises on Aiden Miller.
Yeah. You know what? Fight the traffic. Go to Jersey Shore.
Yeah, middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, until next time, everybody.
Bye.